Good morning, fifth grade. Today we're doing NTI Packet 13, and you guys are asked to add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. So I'm going to show you one example of each of those, okay? So the first one that we have is adding decimals. And so I'm going to put up a similar problem of one that you might see on your worksheet for today. 56 and 23 hundredths plus 2 and 563 thousandths. Notice when you add decimals, it's very important that you line the decimals up, okay? So, and if you want to, if it throws you off, you can always add a 0 here because adding as many zeros as you want does not change the value of the first decimal. So 3 plus nothing is 3. 6 plus 3 is 9. 5 plus 2 is 7. 6 plus 2 is 8. And 5 plus nothing is 5. And remember, your decimal place, if you lined it up, goes directly down. So now your answer is 58 and 793 thousandths. Okay? Let's try a different one. This time we are going to subtract. And I've seen on your worksheet that you have a problem that looks similar to this. 2 minus 1 and 57 hundredths. Keep in mind, you do want to line your decimals up, and if it's a whole number, it always comes before the decimal. And also, you can add zeros here if that helps you. So if you have 0, we know we can't take away from 7, so we need to borrow. So we go next door, there's nothing there. So then we're going to go to the ones place, and we're going to turn the 2 into a 1, and now the 0 in the tenths place can become a 10. That still doesn't help us in our hundredths place, so we're now going to make the 10 a 9 and make the 0 in the hundredths place a 10. So 10 minus 7 is 3, 9 minus 5 is 4, and 1 minus 1 is nothing. And then you drop your decimal, and your answer is 43 hundredths. So that's pretty straightforward, adding and subtracting decimals, as long as you do keep in mind that you need to line the decimal point up. Okay, let's look at a multiplication problem now. Let's do 5 and 6/10 times 3. So 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 5 is 15, and one more makes 16. The tricky part here with multiplying decimals and finding the product is knowing where to put the decimal point. Sometimes it's not always as easy as just dropping the decimal point down. It's easier sometimes to count how many digits you have behind a decimal. So here we only have one digit that falls behind a decimal. So I know that my decimal has to have one digit behind it in my product. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right, next we're going to divide a decimal. Let me find a problem that's similar to yours. I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to do number 19 for you. So 17 and 34 hundredths divided by 6. 17 divided by 6. Okay, if I'm looking at this, I know 6 can't go into 1. But 6, if we have 17, we can make 2 groups of 6. Okay? Let me erase that and make it a little better. And 2 times 6 is 12. So from here, 17 minus 12 is 5. And now you can drop your 3. Okay? This is where students start to struggle, especially if we don't know those multiplication and division facts. So what I suggest them doing is that we usually come over to the side and we skip count by 6s and see as how close we can get to 53. Okay, so let's do that here. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. And that's 6 times 6. 6 times 7 is 42. After that's 48. And then 54. So the closest one without going over is going to be 48. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Okay, and I'm going to erase this now. And we know 8 times 6 is 48. And 43 minus 48 is 5. And now you can drop down your 4. And 6 times 9, I know, is 54. And again, you can move your decimal directly up. So 17 34/100 divided by 6 is 2 89/100. I believe this is all that's on there for today. You guys do have a few word problems. So if you need assistance with those, or if you need clarification on how to add, subtract, multiply, or divide decimals, please feel free to reach out. Thank you all.